live?
I think it's got the thing up in the corner. I think we're live. I
Yep.
don't know. Are we?
Hey,
Welcome to the morning show. Pookie, Mark,
Yeah.
and Kev. It's good to see you.
All
there
right.
we go. Everybody out there watching,
Nailed it.
today we are going to talk about standardized testing and a couple things that go along with schooling. Is standardized testing an accurate test of a student's ability? And then the other topic was, is homeschooling better than private school and public school? And the other topics will
Yeah.
come up.
Our standardized tests an accurate measure of a student's ability. I think was the first one.
Yeah.
So yeah. Um, and then yeah, I'm not sure what it was exactly, what specifically about homeschooling next, but we are definitely going to figure out what exactly we're going to argue about by the time we start arguing there. So, um,
Gotcha.
yeah, don't worry. We might even just naturally blend into that subject with the standardized testing. They're kind of related, but I think that hashing out some details and seeing where we each all land opinion wise on this could
So
help inform how to discuss the next subject. So
Okay.
how do you feel
standardized.
about standardized testing? You think it's an accurate test of a student's ability? I don't. I think um, students can know so much more outside of that standard test, that life skills and stuff like that. There's stuff standardized tests aren't going to teach you. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, that's just my thought on that. There's a little article that has a snippet that says, while standardized tests are specifically designed to measure student achievement, many students argue that they provide an incomplete overview of what a student actually knows. Bradford Stretton, an experienced teacher, believes that these tests failed to capture the whole picture and do not detect students' critical thinking and creativity. He sees them as narrow tool that assesses only part of what students have learned in the classroom. Standardized tests provide a limited snapshot of a student's achievement as they measure specific skills, but fail to capture critical thinking, creativity, and real world application, Stretton says. Hmm, I believe that. I'm with that guy. Uh, Standardized testing could, if you're gonna make it like unnecessary, I think they should put more along with it. Because it's usually just like three classes, I think, like math, social studies. It's stuff that they teach you. School is just a bunch of shit that they teach you and test your memory on how much you remember. And my memory was horrible. Uh,
Kevin, you've been quiet. What are your thoughts on this?
Okay. That article sounds essentially correct, but we do need to form some sort of baseline as to uh, important subjects like math, English, uh, to see where students are as to their knowledge. And yes, critical thinking, that's really difficult to test. That's not something you can really put to paper, but um, you, you need to know where the students are at as far as algebra, science. Uh, yeah, that's a whole nother thing that you can actually test. So I am for uh, te-
Standardized testing.
yes, I am for standardized testing as far as that goes.
It's not so much as I'm against it. It's I think they're not help. It's not doing enough. It's picking a couple subjects to teach kids instead of things they're going to know for the rest of their lives.
So
skills.
to maybe to summarize the two of both of your opinions together, it's an imperfect implementation of a necessary evil, effectively.
There you go. Uh, yeah,
We're
that's it.
not doing a good job of getting the important information, but we do need to know where the students fall in a,
Yeah,
standardized bell curve. That's one thing a lot of people don't necessarily catch from, just the name itself. The word standardized in this context is very important, and it's basically means fit to a normal bell curve sort of thing. So they expect all of these students, well, not just expect, they take all of these students' scores and they fit them to, you know, the what would be, you know, the the normal bell curve. So there's a median or a mean, um, and the higher and higher it goes, the what am I doing? Standard. I don't know. But yeah, they are intended to specifically figure out where on this bell curve of ability students are supposed to fall. But um, since no test is perfect, a lot of people have figured out that you can um, teach to the test, teach tricks to you know make the questions options in your favor. It only fits the bell curve if the student is unequally certain of each of the A, B, C, D options. But um, there's entire big manuals teach, to the SAT and whatnot that show how to, you can eliminate these two options off the bat if you know, this certain amount of the subject. And then, if it's a 50-50 shot compared to the all four options, that's a lot easier. And then it takes a lot less effort to suss out the correct answer, or just guess. And even just guessing will get you a score above where you would fall, um, simply by knowing a couple of tricks to eliminate some of the wrong answers that you can figure out. So the implementation is a big problem.
what do you mean? Please
I mean,
elaborate.
the multiple choice. Like if you have a multiple choice problem, like I just described, and the student can immediately eliminate two of the four options in the multiple choice question, then they're not operating on the same test that everybody else is. They're looking at something where um, it's far easier to figure out, you know, or even just go through, power through, and just guess on the questions can get you a decent score if if you know how to trick, or tricks to get through. Um, so
So I
um,
suppose that the question would be, does this accurately represent the students? Or and their knowledge. The statistics, I believe, I don't have this, but this is in the area, the ballpark. Um, I think it was, I'll just say the majority of grade schoolers, high schoolers are not competent in math and the basics, math, English, science. They're not, uh, I, I don't think the bell curve, you would say, I would say uh, I would say the standardized test would be pretty accurate in encompassing that. You know, uh, that's that's why testing is important to sound the alarm on uh, the need to fix such problems. Uh, what else? How else would we see the problems in these in the students' learning?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Um,
It,
here.
it if in order to eliminate that issue of the multiple choice question being, I mean, it's essentially like card counting. If you think about it, it's kind of analogous to card counting in gambling in blackjack and stuff. You don't necessarily win all the time. It's not perfect, but it gives you enough of a statistical advantage that you can beat the house in the long run. Um, Something that would be administratable. That doesn't feel like a word, but it's
Say it again.
administratable, like something implementable. That's got to be a word, right? Why am I having so
I
much
think it
trouble with
is.
language now? Kevin's called me out on not words too many times. I'm paranoid now. Um,
Uh,
how would you, if not multiple choice, given the constraints, limited time span, um, got to apply to broad spectrum of children, broad spectrum of ability, and got to be able to categorize that broad spectrum of ability. How do you do that? That's yeah, that's a
um,
it's a big problem. Pookie.
there was a comment here by Jeff. It says, "Isn't standardized testing just seeing how normal your brain is working?" Think that was a serious question. No LOLs. Uh,
I mean, it sort of is. It can be, because of the way that standardized is used in statistics and yeah, standardized testing applies to a lot beyond
okay.
just the scope of children's education. But in this case, I think we're specifically like, the annual grade school testing as mandated by state education boards all over the country. Is it a federal requirement that the states administer this, or is it just a,
I'm unsure. I could look that up. Uh,
Yeah. Trying to think back to, well, in grade school we had the CAT test. Um,
CATs. Yeah. Remember
yeah,
those.
yeah, and I don't know if we had those into high school, but we had something for sure.
I mean, there was the SAT, but then
But that
they
was a
changed the whole SAT thing. Um,
but the SATs weren't uh, a test of knowledge for high schoolers. That was a test to get into college.
right, but there was a point where certain score on the SAT could exempt one from having to take the annual state level. At least that was here in Florida. If you were, a junior or senior in high school and you scored high enough on an SAT, you could um, use that as proof of having met the state requirements for, you know, but every state is different and I don't know. But yeah, you're right. It was a college entrance exam and federal, right? So not just but
Let me tell you guys some pros and cons and see how you feel. I'll start with the cons, but one is one con would be major source of stress. One would be unhealthy competition. Another is doesn't measure intelligence, and another is narrow scope of measurement. I'll tell you the
well,
pros
doesn't
before
measure
we.
intelligence is kind of a non-issue because we're not trying to measure the children's intelligence with these tests. We're trying to measure their knowledge and their educational process. I mean, there's tests for intelligence, you know. If like for the gifted program, they do that, and that doesn't replace the annual ability tests or whatever education requirements. That's just a completely different measurement, you know.
Okay, let me
Ability versus achievement, basically. Potential versus actual, um, practical.
okay, I got a Harvard research article right here. It says doesn't measure intelligence. Standardized tests are often valued for objectivity, but not measure a student's intelligence or potential. Research from Harvard reveals that socioeconomic status is more reliable predictor of SAT scores than schooling or grade level. This suggests that wealthier families may have greater access to test preparation resources, creating an uneven playing field and limiting their test fairness.
Yeah, I don't
I
doubt
mean,
that at all.
yeah.
I mean, once again, they can practice for the SATs a million times, and um, like Mark said, it's a matter of learning how to take the test. And but I think that's what you essentially said. Um,
Yeah, yeah, basically. Yeah, it's a good measure of one's ability to take a standardized test. That's for
but
sure.
and there's lots of other ways to get into college, though, besides SATs. That's
Let's
not
play
one
basketball.
metric. Yeah. Uh,
I mean, you still gotta have a decent
right.
academic record to get into the college program. But yeah, you're right. Basketball, it doesn't matter quite so much.
Extracurriculars. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Um, Here's a list of some benefits. Benefits of standardized testing include data helps for teaching improvement, a progress checkpoint for students, valuable insights for parents, tools for governments to monitor education quality. Huh.
mhm. What was the first? Can we go through them one by one rather than trying to
One
remember them all?
Okay.
Because
one would be data helps for teaching improvement. Two would be
okay, well, no,
progress
but okay.
checkpoint for
So
students.
first, yeah, first one, and then we talk about it, and then second one, and we talk about it, and because I can't remember them all by the time we get to the end, and usually we just talk about one and then move on. And there's a few
Gotcha.
important ones I'd like to talk about. So data first one, data helps with teaching improvement, something.
Yes.
Yeah. So only if the data is a reliable measure of what it's purported to be measuring, though. And only if the teachers are operating in good faith and not just entirely gearing their whole curriculum and time to just getting the kids to just pass the exam and not teach the full corpus of their actual subject matter, you know?
Mm,
I don't know. If teachers um performance evaluations and promotions are all tied to test scores, then they're not going to be teaching the subjects. They're going to be teaching the test material, test prep stuff. They're not, yeah, I don't know. I think that's a problem. And I think that
Yeah.
is a big part of why there's a lot of kids who are, coming out graduating without really much ability that we should expect from a graduate, high school graduate, you know?
There might be a incentive to, yeah, actually uh, remove certain students on testing. I have no evidence of this, but is anyone familiar with the No Child Left Behind bill?
I had
Yeah,
something right here on that.
You know, so the essentially what it was punishment if schools scored lower, they would remove um uh you would lose schools would lose funding if they scored lower. And
mm,
I guess that would make schools I don't know, I guess maybe even cheat on the tests, standardized tests, alter.
financial motivation too, for sure.
Oh yeah, so that and so we want to get the most pure analysis of a student's uh, knowledge and uh, just to see what they know about scores or just to see what they know about a subject. That's it. And I don't know if the student or No Child Left Behind is still intact, but
We can check.
yeah,
it is.
it is.
Yeah, I
Oof.
got a little one of the cons here um on change.org. There's an argument about the pros and cons, and one of them here says restrictive curriculum is a con of uh standardized testing. It says since No Child Left Behind Act in 2001, schools prioritize in math and reading to ensure best test results while other subjects are deprioritized. Research finds 62% of schools who participate in nationwide assessments and 75% of schools at the state level spend twice as much time on math and reading than other subjects. Standardized tests don't evaluate creativity and problem solving skills found in the arts and civics disciplines. Uh, this makes this makes the curriculum for standardized tests very limited. Yeah, there's a whole list of an
Yeah.
argument against standardized testing.
Well,
Another,
there's I got an article here. Um, it says many young adults are barely literate yet earned a high school diploma.
mhm,
Uh, this was in October 2025. It says 1 in 4 young adults across the U.S. is functionally illiterate, yet more than half earned high school diplomas, according to recently released data. The number of 16 to 24-year-olds reading at the lowest literacy levels increased from 16% in 2017 to 25% in 2023, according to data released in December from the National Center for Education Statistics in partnership with the Program for International Assessment of Adult Competencies. So, yeah, 16% in 2017 already was disgraceful for a country that presents itself as like the leader of the developed world.
yeah,
The leader in yeah,
Like
in
a,
2025, 2023 up to 25%. Yeah, I mean,
so how could
functionally
the
illiterate doesn't mean they can't like read signs or whatever, but they're not gonna be.
richest country be so stupid?
mm,
Essentially,
Yeah, I don't know. Well, that's kind of quick side note. Probably shouldn't get into it, but with
I know.
our
I'm just. It's a
exceeding,
more of a
well, with our
rhetorical.
debt exceeding our actual revenue, like our like, can we really call ourselves the richest country in the world anymore?
Yes.
I don't know, really.
got a lot
Okay.
of debt.
Yeah. We don't want to get into that. Okay.
Yeah.
Um.
Okay. Yeah, but so out of 5 million young adults, or 2023, a total of about 5 million young adults, equivalent to the population of Alabama, could understand the basic meaning of short sentences but could not analyze long reading materials, according to further analysis by the American Institute of Research. That's- why are they picking on Alabama? You know, there's other places they could have found that had 5 million.
They're ripe for the picking, I think.
Yeah, well, um, yeah, so this is a problem. Well, first off, yeah, they could hold on. Where was it?
You kind of
Uh,
got me on the fence with my opinion on it
they
now.
could
Uh,
they could understand the basic meaning of short texts, like a quick question in a standardized test, right? But not analyze long reading materials. So,
May I
yeah,
interject?
yes.
Uh, if they can understand short things, but not long text, may there be a relation to social media there?
I was
That's
gonna say that because
well,
You know,
I was
yeah,
gonna say the same thing. Like the people that they're saying can't read, their Facebook page has 150,000 posts where they're spelling shit right.
but I mean, uh, they shouldn't have a high school diploma if that's the case. They should, I mean, it should just be a higher percentage of Americans who don't even have a high school diploma, not that percentage. We're stamping saying they got through our education system and we are verifying that they meet our standards. And yet they are out there, what? It doesn't matter to me how they got that way, except that the education system shouldn't have verified them, shouldn't have validated them with a diploma.
okay. So And basically, we all understand that schools are glorified daycare centers. Okay,
Yeah.
but for the most part, but is there a solution to this? Do we, um, uh,
Um, a
Well,
solution to it? I would hope so, but I'll read this and then I want to see how you guys feel about this one. It says standardized testing is actually costly. Standardized tests can be inexpensive for low income students, which can dissuade them from taking the test altogether. The SAT, for example, is important for college admissions. Students have to pay approximately $100 out of pocket to take the exam. The cost of the test, combined with the recent affirmative action ban, has had an impact on how low income and non white students approach college admissions. This influences their decision to apply. I wouldn't be able to put a color on it, but uh, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I
that
wouldn't.
the money incentive, there has been a pullback on affirmative action recently in college. Uh, yeah,
I mean, by affirmative action, are you guys, or do you, Kevin, mean DEI? Or is
I
this
think
an
just
independent of
no, I think this is
Trumpness?
just um, what I've heard in mostly Ivy League colleges is um, and I've seen numbers. They've pulled back the policy and eight. What was it? African American students numbers have dropped. Asian students, was it? I can't fully comment on this without seeing the numbers. The numbers did slightly change a little, um, but only slightly. Yeah. But
So Harvard, broad strokes, then basically Harvard didn't see much of a change from that whole thing,
not a
or
not a drastic change.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel like higher education should be and should have always been uh, pure meritocracy. Um, but that's a bit naive and idealistic of a goal. You know, people just don't work that way. Um, not without being forced to, but
Well, that's
Kevin,
tough to say. They get so many applications. How do you define merit? I mean, eh,
yeah.
they get uh, so many people that score perfect SATs, have all, you know, every single extracurricular. They're all legacy. They're all, how do you separate that? You
I
know,
mean, personally, I don't think that the legacy should factor in at all. Who cares if your dad and his dad
right.
and his dad went there? You know, that's part of the not pure meritocracy right there.
Mhm.
Um, yeah,
But that's how it
it's,
is.
I
I
mean,
mean,
it's a difficult question. Um, but, um, I don't know, less difficult at this the scale of state schools with larger student bodies and everything. private institutions at the very top tier who get, inundated with applications from, the absolute best of the best, the cream of the crop. That's a hard question to sift through. But at the state level, it's a lot easier in a lot of cases, a lot of ways. SAT, and high school transcript is really enough to determine one over the other. But that's the question here. Are those actually a good measure of that student's ability? So maybe not. If the cost is locking out certain low income students who can't afford that $100 fee to take the SAT that's required, that's bad. That's a bad thing.
Oh,
Um,
I would have to say, if you're going to go to college, $100 is drop in the bucket.
right. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. But if there's somebody who would be reliant on scholarships and could achieve scholarships for that $100 still might be, I don't know. If they're that smart, you don't think there wouldn't be enough people around them who believe in them to find some, to scratch together $100. I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of,
Scratch together is a lot to ask. Yeah, sometimes.
I mean,
I know that perhaps that's
five, ten
a
bucks
little
from
callous of me to say
25
that, but
people.
still, money at any level is tough for people. Um, but
No,
it,
but it is a good valid point. I don't
I
know.
know.
It's a difficult question, but um yeah, this um
The pros
I
about it, I do like that, it keeps track of telling you where the child is in school, but to say that's an accurate test of their abilities wouldn't I wouldn't think uh, standardized tests aren't helping with that. But go ahead,
no.
Kevin.
yeah,
Your
I
lips were
um
moving when I started talking. Sorry.
oh no, my lips are always moving. Yeah, just talking in my head, but um just talking to myself. But uh, I didn't really have anything there. But see if I can conjure something up. Um,
Uh, Mark, you got a. Oh no, we're also going to talk about homeschooling. Is this where we segue into that?
This is a good point to segue into
yeah,
that
I think
if
so.
you guys. Yeah, so it kind of brings up a broader question of is it an issue of standardized testing, um or like zooming out at a in a broader scope, is it possibly an issue or a problem with the education system itself as a whole and the way it functions? Um, because standardized tests arise out of the schooling system and are the integral part of, its implementation, its functionality. Um, you take away standardized tests, and the American school system is, completely different from, functionally.
I agree with that.
So yeah, is this a problem of the tests, or is uh, is the issue with um, the system, the educating behind it all. Um, because in theory, the tests really should be a pretty good metric of what's going on. Um, I don't
Wouldn't
know.
place full blame on the tests.
Yeah.
Yeah, either.
Uh, but they're just a reflection of 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 the system, perhaps. Um,
Yeah.
Wholly, I would say, uh, people, the system, I would say, used to encapsulate the parents, because when I went home, they helped me with, they didn't do my homework, but they were part of everything. They would read with me. Reading was a part of everything. As a child, uh, uh, books were present in the house. Uh, that's very important to um, incorporate. Um, I don't know how much. I can't speak for everything, but parents to be present in this. They can't just. Uh, they have to take a little responsibility. Um, and as far as what the teachers do, um, I, they have very strong unions, and uh, I it is difficult to fire them. Yes, I can't speak for the teachers, but I don't know how I don't know how difficult it is to actually get across to the kids nowadays. You know,
Oh, it has changed so much. I remember I had laptops in school, but these days they got laptops, and then the freedom with those laptops is next level.
Yeah,
is it is it
I don't know. I can come around and interject what we had alluded to, the point that we were thinking about. I feel like homeschooling is um a better alternative to um raise an informed, intelligent, critical thinking, independent thinking child than the United States school system, particularly as it's currently implemented. Um, so, um, yes, to what extent do you guys disagree before I start going into points that I would bring up in support? Because I've got a few things here. I don't
Um,
know how against homeschooling, how for or against is it, am I going to be arguing basically against myself?
no, basically, I feel like, public school and homeschool, I just feel like you don't get that social aspect. You're not interacting with people in general, not just the kids, but people. You're not having that social aspect when you're at home. That's just how I feel. Uh, you're socially interacting with your neighbors or whatever the case, your parents, siblings. Uh, but I think children do need that part of school. I think the social aspect will help in the long run.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a good point. It's one of the biggest concerns most often raised when people discuss homeschooling. So, yeah, that's a good point. Um, Kevin?
I suppose my biggest concern with homeschooling is you're only limited to the intelligence of your parents. That being said, for example, what is their curriculum for the student? I mean, you could have I'm not doubting at all that you could have very intelligent uh, parents, you know, teaching, but on the flip side, um, what if they're just uh, religious nuts teaching, you know, the world is 6,000 years old and that's it, and that they're only teaching an hour a day, getting a stipend from the government, and that's it.
A
That's the
stipend from the government?
I don't know. Do I don't know. I don't know how.
No, no, there is no stipend, and it's the reverse. It is funded entirely out of pocket,
Mm,
while still being obligated to pay all other taxes. So we were funding all of the public schools around us, paying for all of our neighbors' kids to get their educations, and we're receiving none of that ourselves.
Okay.
Um,
mm,
so that's just the way it is, you know. You live in a
mm.
society with a
So
government. That government provides benefits. You pay your dues, you pay your taxes, and it does benefit us, the individual, to have the kids around us educated.
okay, very good. What
Yeah.
was the standardized? How were you tested? I mean, was to make sure that um, you were receiving adequate. I'm not. This is not a
No,
criticism, but
it's a
yeah.
very good point. I mean, yeah. We were held to the same standards that all of the other kids were. There were um, groups that would get together at the like a county level or something and organize homeschool kids in the area to come and, you know, then have grade by grade come and do their standardized testing, and they administer is all done by an independent organization and submitted by them to the state on our behalf to demonstrate that, you know, and there was a minimum um, uh, threshold of progress that was required, um, you know, each year in order to continue. If the kid did not meet that threshold progress, if they found or if the state felt that, you know, this kid is not getting the education that they're supposed to be getting, that we, you know, require, then, you know, parents have problems, and not
Yeah.
everybody gets to just educate their kids with anything however they want, or just completely not educate them. Um, you know, at least not within the bounds of the law. There are always going to be people who, you know, but we can't control that group. So,
Okay.
um,
I suppose I have one more question about it. This is a matter of time. I mean, most many parents work two jobs. How is this?
Yeah.
How? What are the logistics of um, even if they are able to teach their kids, even if they do have the wits to do this, um, how are uh, two parents working full-time jobs able to, you know, do that?
Yeah.
How
Well,
are,
it's difficult. It's also a very good question. It's interesting though you threw in the wits again, if assuming they have the wits to do this. Just a quick aside, on average, um, college admissions um, testing scores for um, across the board find that um, education majors um, as a cohort collectively have on average the lowest test scores of any field of study in um, academic fields. So um, the group that is going and getting these education degrees and teaching our children are not necessarily the top best minds. It's really kind of the opposite. The lowest scorers are the ones who go, those who can't do teach, so to speak. Not to denigrate any of that. It's just to point out that you don't need to be an absolute genius in order to.
I stuck that word in there.
But
How about
another
the
thing
time
is
issue?
the time. I mean, that's a problem. But not everybody who homeschools goes and, stays. There are groups who, almost like a daycare sort of thing, but they have um, co-ops and collectives who do um, group classes, group activities. They get together and kind of collectively administer certain subjects that are difficult to do in a one-on-one, um, which, circles back around to Pookie and his concern that he brought up initially, the socialization. There's a lot of homeschool associations, homeschooling groups, um, but on top of that, as homeschooled children, we were not constrained to a class cohort of children all within a few months of our own birth date. A single year, class year group, you grow up, you go through with them, you socialize mostly with them. You don't, not so much with the older kids, not so much with the younger kids. It's kind of, with kids your own age, like very specifically your own age too. Not that much older, not that much younger. So, homeschool kids, we learned no difference between them. A lot of the older kids helped to teach the younger kids. We just went through all of this material. Why don't we just help our younger brother, our younger sister go through it, learn it, teach it to them? Social skills beyond what any student would develop in a classroom society, classroom environment, especially in a public school environment. Um, there was another advantage that we did not just accept grades as they were while we were going through. If you go through and you score, you know, 70 on the math test or whatever, you did a bad job. We didn't just, okay, 70 in a grade book or whatever, write it down on a report card. We went through and go back and learn it, figure out where we went wrong until we got everything 100% right. It wasn't a matter of presenting the material and seeing how much actually gets absorbed in the moment. It was a matter of presenting the material until it is demonstrably entirely understood. Um, and that's something that you don't get in a public school. Um, a lot of the subject matter that we learned while growing up was actually um, self-directed, self-interest and stuff. There was a year where I was incredibly absorbed in astronomy, and so I bought a telescope, big telescope, got it still out in the garage. It's a 10-inch mirror, 10 inch,
Mm.
10 inch. Yeah. Um, I mean, big thing. Easily sees the red spot on Jupiter, Saturn's rings and stuff, counting moons and all that. Um, gift from my grandparents. Incredibly blessed to have had that gift, that opportunity. Um, but yeah, spent an entire year. Um, I mean, just as an autistic kid with an autistic interest in space and rockets and all that stuff, just absorbing as much as I could. Um, why would that not count as a science class credit? You know, um,
Mm.
measure what the child actually knows, not metrics on a piece of paper that of just what has been presented to them, and then just a simple one-time score of how well they did and do they pass or no. Um, no, we never accepted pass or fail. It was always, until you got it. And I am incredibly grateful for having been taught to think that way, to look for reasons why something should be believed or should not be believed, and weighing things out, thinking critically rather than just absorbing what gets presented, like in a public school curriculum. Um, I presented a curriculum, um, and then absorb it as much as I can and check stuff against encyclopedias and whatnot. Um, and yeah,
But
that's
but
I'm grateful
with
to have been schooled.
oh yeah, I understand how homeschool can be good. But when it comes to like with my children and then how they did in the pandemic, how they just sent all the kids, that reminded me of, I mean, that kind of gave me a feel for what homeschool might be like. And it's really can be uh so like just keep the
Like a
child in the
pressure cooker.
house. No, just like the child was stuck in the house. And then it was like an hour, hour and a half out of the day. They weren't getting teach as much during then. I think the on hand, like there with the teacher, can be very helpful. Uh, and like I said, the social aspect of it, gonna grow up and not be social. You're in the house all day, and all you know is inside the house. I mean, not every
Mm.
kid, but I'm saying, you know, um, yeah, I think the social aspect is big
Well,
with their kids' future as well.
homeschooling is one thing. Uh, Teleeducation during a pandemic lockdown is something completely different.
Okay.
We were not locked down in our houses. We were not getting our material presented to us by our actual educator remotely. Um, I mean, if we had been homeschooled during that time, I'm just thinking and picturing there would have been no disruption to our daily life, you know? I mean, kids can still go out and outside and play as long as you just kind of keep your distance from your neighbors or whatever, right? So just backyard,
Right.
front yard, whatever, could still get exercise. Um, Better ability to contact and talk to our friends than would have had back then. Um, I
Some
mean,
kids I know.
our parents were the ones who were educating us. Our curriculum was already, in place, known. There's
Um,
there's there's a lot of
It,
companies that prepare curriculum material for parents on every given subject. Um, Teachers' manuals and workbooks and textbooks that make it simple for anybody of any skill level, regardless of their educational background, to um, teach a child all the way through high school. My mom was a
so
loan officer. She, you know,
I
my
I got to
sister. I
see.
have I have an engineering degree. My sister's got a nursing degree, and I'm more sister's super nurse. My sister's awesome. Just saw her
Okay.
yesterday too. Um,
very good. I
Okay.
mean,
If she ever watches
so
this, shout out
if I
Rachel.
may, hello, hello out there. If I may ask, where did you grow up? Where was this education?
South Florida, Palm Beach
South Florida.
County, kind of
Okay.
right in the middle of Palm Beach County.
Okay,
You
cool.
bet it on a dartboard.
I don't know if
Rural part,
it's
not the rich Donald Trump part.
okay.
Although I do remember driving past Mar-a-Lago once when I was young. Then I don't know why, but they just said that's where Donald Trump lives. I said, "Who's Donald Trump?"
Did you
They
research it?
said he's the
Very
guy.
nice.
You remember in Home Alone when Kevin asks where the front desk is in that big fancy
Right.
um
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah. And they're like, that was Donald Trump. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, was he
That
living there
that was
back then? I mean,
I
yeah,
did he
don't
have a?
remember.
Oh, wow.
yeah.
I
Okay.
don't remember Home
Uh,
Alone.
no, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York.
Uh, I know what it is. I think I've seen it, but I don't remember it.
Excellent
Well,
movies.
if you ever watch it, yeah, watch it the Grand Plaza Hotel, I think, or something.
Something like that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Real super, super rich, hoity-toity, high-end place. And yeah, Donald Trump's walking in through the lobby, and Kevin asks, "Where's the front desk?" He points him that way, and then looks over his shoulder like, "Who the hell is that kid?" But he didn't have security then, or didn't have Secret Service back then. So,
Okay. I
Yeah.
got an article
Anyway,
here by
I just I wanted to ask. It sounds like there's a lot of good implementations in private schooling for that. But would that be applicable to highly dense urban area with, you know,
that's
thousands and
something
thousands of kids? Could
I
they?
don't have, yeah, that's something I don't have experience with. Um, I didn't grow up in highly dense urban areas, so I don't know if my experience is typical to a suburban upbringing and not representative of what it might have been in the city. Um, I don't know. That's
And
that's a good.
it sounds like many of those things could be applied to the current system of
Mhm.
school, but I just you know, as opposed to it doesn't the comparable. We everyone in like a urbanized area or even suburban area,
Mm.
it would be difficult for one to watch out for each other. You know.
I mean,
Anyway,
with population density, if anything, it might make it easier for collective, co-op groups to collectively teach and everything. Um,
okay.
yeah,
Well, we could.
that's an interesting thought though. I hadn't considered, so I'll need to spend some time. But
Pookie,
Okay.
what do you got?
yeah, sorry.
For us?
Oh no, I just had an article I wanted to read
Mm,
real quick. It says, as a former public school teacher, I have inside info about how school system really works. As a veteran homeschool mom, who has graduated 4 kids who stayed home K through 12, one left. I am well aware of the struggles you are facing every day. Let's compare the two, homeschooling versus public schools side by side. Accountability as a homeschool mom, for you feel like the bad guy because you have to nag your kids to work without becoming distracted to finish within reasonable amount of time. To actually learn rather than just checking the box and move on to the next thing without wandering off. Sometimes it seems like you've spent the entire day just pushing your kid along. The public school teacher would do all that for you, right? No. At school, your child is one of many. The teacher does not have to nor the mental health resources to keep track of each one with much level of detail. While your kid is in their classroom, their teacher may try to have some input about work habits, but as soon as one class departs from their site, they are focusing on the next group of kids, and most likely they're crazy. Um, I mean, most likely there's some crazy kids in the next group. So they have to focus on the next group. Teachers have to wipe the slate between the classes or they'll go crazy as well. And they have no desire to take that emotional baggage home with them. They do have lives and families of their own, after all, so they ignore it until the class the next day. Or in case of the elementary school, although classes do change between subjects, they're now more than used to. The teacher is only able to do so much. She doesn't have 3 to 5 kids to deal with all day long. She has 20 to 25. You tell me how she will do a better job of getting your child to get stuff done than you can. Yes, there is outside accountability. Translated, that means due dates and grades are a thing, but it will it will still be you, the mom, who is doing the nagging, keeping track of the assignment and when they are due, pushing your kid to get their homework done, etc. And in some ways, it's harder to figure out what was the teacher's head can be looking like uh, to challenge tasks. So while it is difficult being the force behind a kid getting anything done all day, every day, it's easier and more effective than doing it as a reaction to someone else's workload and expectations. Hmm. That's a good opinion from a mother who did both. Uh,
Did they just write that
um,
in, or
no, this is an article with a mother who was a who homeschooled her 5 kids, but also taught at school. Uh,
would there be certain things we could do to society to make schooling of
More
a
independent.
less of a task? It's less of a burden. Okay, look at for oh, uh, for example, all the good things that Mark spoke of, introducing, allowing parents to teach them more, we could combine. I know I don't want to jump this or throw this other topic on things like a 4-day work week for the parents or the UBI thing, giving parents an extra $1,000 to work with so they could have more time to work with their student or kids, or a 4-day weekend or work day that would give them an
Yeah.
extra day, more independence.
Yeah.
You know, we have a
Oh,
changing economy, a changing, uh, a, a lot of things are evolving in this modern America. So uh, maybe we need to change some things to help
um,
the school system.
the universal pay though would also shit's getting more expensive these days. Prices going up on stuff, and to earn less money wouldn't be the best idea right now with things going up and your income going down. It's you know,
Right. I know it would cause inflation because we,
yeah.
we have to pay for other stuff. Half of our budget goes to,
And
we don't
that's like
really,
now. There was a governor who was running. I mean, there was a guy who was running for governor, and um, oh man, I forgot what I was talking about. Um, it had something to do with what you were talking about, Kevin. I don't know how this happens.
I was talking about uh, implementing certain ideas to help the school system. And we just keep cutting and slashing and then saying, oh, why does it suck so much? And well, yeah, because you keep, you know, you just keep taking away from something and wondering why it's dying, why it's suffocating. We keep taking its air away.
All right.
You know,
Uh,
The you mean the education system, or are we talking about something else now?
education system I'm talking about.
I would argue that the education system was doomed to fail from the beginning. I don't think it was ever actually really meant to um, produce an informed, critically thinking citizenry. I think it was very explicitly intended to foster obedience. It came from, excuse me, it was derived from the Prussian education system. Um, was here, don't hold it. So the Prussian education system was established as a result of educational reforms in the late 18th and early 19th century. Um, introduced as a basic concept in the late 18th century. So Napoleonic Wars here. Okay, the basic concept has led to various debates and controversy. 21st century primary and secondary education system in Germany still embodies the legacy of the primary or the Prussian education system. The United States public school system and um, other countries also adopted certain aspects. Um, Critics argue it was designed to foster obedience and social control, aiming to, quote, destroy free will rather than encourage true freedom. It's been described as a factory model education to emphasizing discipline, conformity, and loyalty over the state over individual thought. So yeah, key aspects of the Prussian model integrated into United States schools, compulsory attendance, uh, instituted to ensure state control over child development, structure and routine, age-based classrooms, um, rigid schedules and bells to signal transitions are modeled after the Prussian factory-style efficiency. Focus on obedience. The system was intentionally designed to foster obedience, conformity, and loyalty to the state, minimizing dissent and individual critical thinking. The model focused on standardized teacher-led instruction rather than personalized education. Um, yeah, I would argue that certainly taking money away from education is never going to improve it, but I think that the whole structure was doomed from the start if your goal for the education system is to educate um, individual and foster individuality. Um,
Well, well, I'm saying why not change the model then? We could
mm,
still put money into it, but just change the model a little bit.
yeah, but
Gotcha.
that begs the question, what changes to the model would serve the goal of, and that's a big open-ended question that I really have no idea how to answer,
I don't
except
know either,
that
but
my homeschooling experience seemed to have been I personally
Success.
consider a success
and that's a
story.
valuable opinion.
Yeah.
That's good insight we could use to change something. There's got to be, if there's a better way, it's out there.
Yeah.
You know, if we based our current education system on some sort of factory line, you know, put out, okay, we can. I don't know. I'm not an urban planner or some sort of anything.
What do you mean
But
by urban planner?
I don't know. A person who that's probably not the right word. A person who designs. An urban planner is a person who's designs cities. Actually, that's not the.
Yeah,
So that's not the.
layout plans the
Yeah.
layout
So
of yeah. Mm,
that's not the right. No. Um, I'm not a designer of anything. Social architect. So I don't know what the right word would be, but
yeah.
there's can't we think of something better for kids? I mean, there's got to be better models of education in Europe or something. They do.
Germany is still using a lot of the Prussian model. I don't know what other nations are like though. Um, I do know that over in Germany, the um, higher education system is, um, I guess, a little bit like the standard education system, in that it's entirely taxpayer funded and purely like abilities based or test score based. You get into a university based on your test scores. And if you get in, if you qualify, then your tuition is paid for, period. Just based on your qualification, not because of anything else, which is,
Mm.
that's a pretty interesting idea.
Yeah. I like how you
Um,
think.
You think that's doable in this country?
Probably not,
I don't think so either.
but it's it's an interesting idea, and I wish it were like doable. There's
Um,
so many private colleges that are like at the top of, our whole hierarchy that um, yeah, taking them.
what was I
I
gonna
s-
say?
so
Go ahead, Kevin.
I saw an interesting story on PBS that many colleges are shutting down now, and
Really?
over 500, almost 500, 450 or 450 to 500 colleges have shut down or merged
Oh,
um,
didn't know that.
because, you know, and
What was the reason?
probably uh, lack of enrollment. So that I that would be the main reason, lack of enrollment. People aren't signing up for college as much
I
anymore.
mean, everybody's telling them not to, right? All their all their influencers are saying don't go to college or
Well,
AI
that,
will do those jobs for you.
Yeah, scaring people out of going to school and telling them AI is necessary.
well,
Yeah,
that, and a couple of reasons I would say. One, it's super expensive, and you're going to pay spend the rest of your life paying off college, and yes, and AI is something that's will probably end up taking your job in the long run.
Hmm.
So you could only get a job like in human resources. Mm,
I
yeah,
had another argument for that subject. If we were just segue into everything, that was another thing. Is
segue into
I
anything.
think I think that college, um, for some reason, I mean, not for some reason, I think that college should be free. It should be free to go to school. But yeah, that's just, I think government should be covering that.
but
Uh,
well, yeah, but then if college is free, then what, how do the professors get paid? Like,
Government.
right, okay. So that would mean that they're all, well,
I think more people would go if it was free. If you want
I suppose
people to,
everything should be free, but it can't work that way. I
yeah,
mean,
I
I
wouldn't say
mean,
in every college, because there's certain colleges that are good and focuses on certain things. Um,
I don't consider secondary or not. That's secondary education, right?
Electoral colleges.
yeah.
Uh,
Electoral college is a completely different thing. Let's not go into that.
yeah, that's for another day.
That,
Uh,
yeah, that'll start fights.
Mhm. Yeah,
we get it
yeah,
over with now.
that'll start civil wars. Um, yeah. What was I saying about the stupid college? Yeah,
College should be free.
yeah, it should be. That's a privilege. It shouldn't be free. Yeah, because I think yeah, you gotta. But Medicare, I think there should be free healthcare. We can easily afford that with a few other cuts. Um,
But then
what else?
compare that to like the United Kingdom where they have done that and um the public health care is a mess and there's long waits and shortages of doctors and there's always, it's like there's always the alternative of, private care. They still have it over there. And it's wildly expensive. And so the people who can afford it they get the best doctors, they get short wait times, they get what they need, and everybody else is stuck waiting long health or long times for NHS physicians if they're even available, which really seems, if anything, worse than over here because of the NHS. They have absolutely no choice. It's a monopoly on providers and insurance and everything and functionally equivalent.
Um,
We
some
already have one.
communities, some communities really could benefit from, or people in general could benefit from free healthcare. Some people don't go to the hospital because of that reason. They're like, all they're going to want to do is do this and check on me. Why go? And I could take care of myself at home. In certain generations that I've been through, they don't go to the hospital. About the time they finally go to the hospital, their foot needs to be cut off. They didn't go all those years because it isn't worth it. Worth it is based on you having to pay for it. If it was free healthcare, they probably wouldn't got that handled 10 years, 10, 20 years ago. So yeah, healthcare that could use a little boost. I think they should work on that.
Perhaps we don't have free healthcare because of the venture capitalism pharma
Uh,
complex. Why is a pill $60 here and $6 in another country?
or you can just go to Mexico.
Hmm. You know, I, I don't want to go into this half, but I don't want to go into a government budget argument. But half of our budget is on defense, and we could, and we're spending $2 billion a day on an invasion. And that's money we could really, really use
Yeah.
in this country on stuff like Medicare and just really good stuff.
If there was, say, someone as rich as Elon Musk, would they be able to be like, I'm gonna fund this? And that would kind of be actually their kind of army. Uh yeah,
Oh,
and
I
I'm
mean,
gonna go back on that. Go ahead.
uh, um, Elon's just, you know,
Mhm.
that's a whole nother thing. I'm not going to get into that. Um, uh, but
I got another piece of
it,
this article here. Go ahead though.
no, I just think we should continue with the tax system is not working right for this country, and you know,
I
you
agree.
know,
Uh, but I do have this little piece of snippet from the same woman who was a homeschool teacher and a school teacher. Uh, right here, she speaks about educational gaps. She said, you worry because it's taking forever to complete the curriculum you're using. You feel guilty for not getting through it all. Will your kid learn everything they're supposed to? Are they experiencing gaps in their education? At public school, they are more on top of things like this, right? No. I remember taking 6 weeks of regular curriculum every year to prepare for standardized tests the kids would be taking because if they scored well on the test, the school would get more funding. So forget about seventh grade math. Let's just focus on multiple choice logic questions and learning how to read graphs for 6 weeks. Public schools
well,
have so many things that steal their productivity: classroom time, school assemblies, pep rallies, holiday celebrations, field trips, fire drills. That rowdy kid who pushes the teacher's buttons every day,
Summer
movie days,
vacations.
substitute teachers, and the list goes on. I certainly never finished the curriculum in a given year, and I don't know a single teacher who did. Gaps in their education? You bet you are probably getting through more of a curriculum at home than they are at public school, truly. She's given the pros and cons of both sides. Uh, what you choose to feel like is more important to you and your child. I think that goes along with that. But I did how like she, yeah, I liked how she tells both sides of it. Uh, I think it'd be easier to send them to school. Then again, some people say school's a glorified daycare. I've heard you say that, Kevin. So,
It's
uh,
not even glorified. It's mm. I mean, of course, it's always easier to ship them off rather than dealing with raising them yourself. That doesn't mean it's best for them.
okay.
Well, parents have to go to work. They got jobs to do. They got to pay the bills. And since we can't do any reorganizing of the current uh, machinations of society, we, uh, the kids have to go to school 9 to 5, just like their parents,
Mm, right.
which is ridiculous. And
It's
it should be.
preparing them for their obedient, non-critically thinking lives as, high school
Yes, I
graduate.
know
Right?
that's a
Mhm. Mhm.
devastating statement, but that's what society is: obedience.
Mhm.
That's not what humanity is. And if obedience is what this society is, then this is not a good society. That's what Sharia is, actually, obedience. Literally. Like that's what the
What's
word means.
Sharia?
Islamic law, Sharia law.
Oh,
It's just obedience, submission. Um, yeah, Western ideals should include individualism, critical thinking, um, an informed populace is critical for the function of a democratic republic, not simply a, yeah, it's an informed populace, not a conformed populace that's critical. Um, yeah, that the education system is misserving the United States people if that's what it's producing. And actually, that's what it's explicitly designed to produce.
okay. Uh, what was the other part? Yeah. So you agree that homeschool is not better than public school? You still don't believe that, Mark?
What?
I'm just said. So that's not what you believe. Oh shit! I did take my pills, right?
At this point, I'm on the fence because the it's like comparing apples and oranges. It seems like
Oranges
a
are better.
convenient. It seems like a convenience that not everyone can afford homeschooling.
Well,
Yeah.
it seems like the implementation you're imagining is not exactly the way it always actually needs to be done. It's not a single parent sitting and feeding information to a child the entire time. Um, I was given materials, but allowed to work on my own. Um, there were babysitters, family members who were supervising while parents were working. And I learned the curriculum that was provided. Later on, my mother was able to not work. It was a blessing for sure. But even after that, there were many people in our surrounding area who were um, not And well, not given that luxury, both parents had to work, and a lot of them found ways to make it happen because there's cooperative groups. I mean, if it's something you want to do, you can get it done. It's not something to just give up on because you think, my, it would be hard to manage with my job and my schedule. That's a defeatist mindset.
Okay. Can I read this little snippet from the same mother who gave us the other snippets? It says this one's based on personal time. If you feel like you're stuck at home every day doing school rather than being able to go out and do things, if you just had some time to yourself, you could be so productive. Putting the kids in school will give you the freedom. You can have some peace and relaxation. Not so. Unless you put your kids on the bus, which can be a sketchy proposition these days, you will have to get them up before dawn every morning, rush around and get ready, very likely nagging them to keep moving the whole time and drive to school. Then you get back to do it all in reverse later in the day. This definitely cuts into your me time. But wait, today is a half day, I today is a half day, so you have just barely dropped them off before you need to turn around and go back and get them. And Johnny has sports practice after school, so you pick up his siblings at the regular time and then have to return to go get him a couple of hours later. Tonight is the choir concert, and tomorrow is your volunteer day in class. And yikes, you forget about the parent teacher meeting. Susie is supposed to be bringing cookies to celebrate the miscellaneous holiday, and Betsy left her essay on the printer, so you have to take it to her before third period. Freedom? No. Instead, you're tied to a schedule that is not your own, not your own making. You are the servant of everyone's plans for your child and family. This means that your team cannot sleep in and get that extra rest they desperately need during these years of crazy physical and emotional growth. Your 7-year old takes forever to get over the stupid cold they caught from the kid next door, mm, because they can't take a nap when they need to take one, and you're actually more stressed from all the running around. If you value your time, then homeschooling is actually less stressful because you indeed have more choice about how that time is spent. I know Mark would agree with that.
Yes, absolutely. I saw all of that firsthand. I mean, I can attest to it. It's not just something that's made up. Of course, anecdotal evidence is not proof. It's not, it would be a logical fallacy to claim that that settles it. It's proven. But yeah, I've seen that, my mom running around zipping back and forth errands and stuff. And you always need to be cognizant of what time to get who for what, and running back and forth between practices versus when it's all just her time.
Okay.
She chooses what to do when what kids are, and yeah, it's like they said, not being a slave to other people's schedules for your child. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I like how
Yeah.
she's telling both sides. She has the homeschooled kids and works at a school. Was another thing I thought.
Yeah. Well, and that,
Re-
I mean, another thing also that was, um, my, my grandmother, when I was first pulled out of school, my grandmother kind of uh, paternal grandmother never really got along with my mom too much, but she made a comment, snide comment to my mom about, you sure you you can handle, you sure you're smart enough to handle teaching these kids? Like, come on. It's like, oh, yeah, it's if you have a high school diploma, you're smart enough to teach. Like from back when high school diplomas actually meant you could read, right? High school diploma from the 70s, then yeah, you're smart enough to present a curriculum to a 10-year-old child. It's, um,
So at one point, the school system was sufficient.
huh?
I'm just saying, if you have a high school degree from the 70s, at one point, our education system was efficient.
Okay, you're drawing an inference from something that was just because currently modern high schoolers are graduating with while being functionally illiterate. My statement was if you were functionally literate, if you're intelligent enough, um, you know, I mean, my mother has a master's degree, so there's that. I could have said that, but whatever.
I mean,
You-
what's the rate of
you're
everybody's
just
parent
being
having that?
snippy.
Uh,
So,
you know,
uh, what, Pookie?
I don't know the percentages, but I feel like it's a 9 out of 10 that parent's going to be have a master's degree. So it helps in if your parent has a master's degree, then
What, you think that 9 out of 10 parents doing homeschooling or have advanced graduate degrees? Is that what you're saying? Or
now I'm
because
saying I
that
kind of
stuff ain't not
forgot.
true.
Uh, no, oh Lord, oh my memory. Um, just basically, not every child gets that parent that has a master's degree, and just because they have a high school diploma, I don't think a high school diploma should just be enough. Yeah, I think
I
that's why
mean, it's
I don't
enough
know
to
about homeschooling.
present a curriculum to a child and follow the teacher's manual, how to grade, whether things are correct or not. I mean, we're talking fourth grade material.
Right. And that's very simple. It is basically simple. Most people don't know civics very well.
Well, yeah,
It's a
and
little more.
that's shitty. Civics was removed from public school
Yeah.
curriculum long ago.
Oof,
We
yeah.
have we have the I took
That's
civics in homeschool kid had civics class.
that's
And
another thing.
I took
Um,
civics in grade school. Yes.
homeschooling is a little bit of more individual teaching. You learn more different topics. It's like the person that's teaching you also is teaching you other stuff. Is that's a good part. I'm on the fence about the whole topic, but I mean the whole subject.
Well, and learning practical day-to-day skills, living with mom, walking around, following her, she runs errands, I'm there. I see, you know, running to the grocery store. I see budgeting there for that. I learned how to do my own laundry before middle school, I learned how to cook for myself, learned how to cook from
Okay,
scratch, a lot of skills that, you know, um, yeah, just all develop naturally simply by being around them. You don't need a home ec class to learn it. You just need to be at home with your family and watch.
Home ec was fun. Uh, I'm glad I took that one.
Yeah.
It's Spanish. Not that I remember anything,
Wait, you
but
took home ec in Spanish?
no, home ec and Spanish.
Oh, okay. That
Or
would be
Spanish
Uh,
home
interesting.
ec. I don't know.
Yeah.
We make it.
that would
Yeah.
be interesting.
Uh,
I mean, get the what?
mm,
I mean, is this spell it out to them? It's like the grocery store over here. The grocery store, a cucumber isn't labeled as a cucumber. All of the stuff is in Spanish. So the name of it is something else. So I get it. And then I'm making a call, doing video. I'm like, is this a cucumber? And she's like, what does it say? And then I read it and I was like, asked the lady, I was like, what's this? And she read it in Spanish and she was like, I don't know if it's a cucumber. And I was like, I don't see cucumbers. Uh, so I got it. And come to find out, it was a cucumber. But that store has nothing in English, and you just gotta hope that what shelf that's on, that belongs there. Don't know where that conversation came from, but yeah, if you guys are watching, press that thumbs up button. Thanks for watching. Press that little bell so you know when we're going live. And as of right now, we're talking about private school versus public school. I'm on the fence about it.
Homeschool.
Public school versus homeschool. There we go. Uh, and yeah, we've been talking about this for a little while, and now I'm on the fence about it. I think I mean, public school is good for the social feature. It isn't 100% better for anything else, but I do think kids need to be social. Um, I'm just not sure if homeschool teaches you that. Then again, I didn't go to homeschool, so Mark, you have both sides of it, and you know what both sides are like.
Well,
Um,
I was homeschooled. Only up to the first half of fourth grade is all I had, and that was at a private school. So yeah, I haven't been to public school, so I don't have both sides there. All I have is the homeschool side, but I can say that there was a lot of socialization between peer groups too, you know.
do you
Um,
think if
it
you went to public school, you would be more social?
No, I think I would have more mental problems than I did. I would definitely have been beaten up a lot. Yeah, I was already being bullied in fourth grade. Uh, um, had already been being bullied, been being, yeah.
I
Um,
was bullied smaller, and the easy thing to do is run. I ran so much that the track coach seen me and was like, "You should run track." And I was like, "Oh, it's like I always see you running around here. Maybe you should run track." And he was the PE teacher, and he was the track coach. So it just he happened to see someone run past him that he thought could run fast enough, and I was pretty good at it. I seen the coach when in the neighborhood I'm from, and I was talking to somebody, and he told somebody he was actually good. And I was like, oh, I didn't know he thought like that. He was real uh, strict. It didn't have me feeling like I was the best at it. But now that I look back on it, he was just like pushing me basically to do stuff. And I guess it helped. It was fun. I mean, I didn't go to the Olympics or anything, but I ran track, basketball, soccer, rugby, uh, football. Uh, yeah, I think I just fell into sports. That's what public school did to me. I mean, did for me is the social part, just meeting a lot of people. Uh, I do have friends from every sport that I did. Yeah, but friends these days are hard to find. Everybody has kids and families now, so I don't blame them. But you got another topic there, Mark? I had another one about universal basic income. Kevin, you had some ideas when it came to talking about that?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. It seems the incentive or the pros and cons of this are basically that the cons are um, people of wealthier status basically shouldn't get any money, like $1,000 a month. People making, uh, where do we draw the line? You know, should millionaires or people making 100 grand a month, uh, should they get any money or whatever? Because that's a big waste of money. Uh, Also, does it necessarily, is it fair to give people who aren't doing anything $1,000 or anything? Is that a fair thing for taxpayers to do? But on the other end, um, yes, there are benefits to this. It's been seen in studies like Stockton, California. People had improved health. I think they had more free time to find jobs. Uh, let me see that. Uh, I don't want to. All right. So if we were to give them, it, it would reduce poverty and inequity, improves mental, physical health, and empowers workers and encourages education and entrepreneurship with just a small amount of money, just $1,000 a month. And these cons is it's a lot of money on the government. Uh, it can be extremely expensive, potential decrease workforce participation, which I disagree with. That risk of inflation and complex to implement. It's very complex to implement. So,
Um,
what are your thoughts?
I think it sounds like a good idea. Like you said, could be expensive, and could cause less people in the work field. But I think if you do it based on like people in the work field, like you get a bonus, not just someone just sitting at home. But yeah, I like how you do that. Especially people with children would need help. Um, it would help in a lot of ways because a lot of people who have to pay for medical expenses and then paying for school for your children, depending on how many children you have, uh, that would help.
All right.
I can't say I'm all the way pro for it yet because you told me some cons, but yeah,
Well,
sounds like
I
a good
mean,
idea, but it's gonna it's
I
gonna
don't
cost
think anyone
America a lot.
I don't think anyone's going to quit their job over this. It's only $1,000, so that's $12,000 a year. So I mean, you can't live off $12,000 a year. You mean
Uh,
you can, but
people make it happen.
would you give up a $40,000 job for $12,000?
No, that's why I'm saying people in the work field could use that bonus. It might put a little less stress on actually going to work, not someone who's just at home, living their life, getting welfare, stuff like that. Then they get a bonus. Shouldn't work like that.
What was that? Read that by one more time.
I
Uh,
was saying people should not just get a bonus if you're just not working. Like I'm saying, people should get that bonus if they're actually out there working. But if you're just at home collecting welfare, not doing anything with your life, you don't need a bonus. You don't need the extra 1,000 a month. But I don't know if you were saying both.
well, yeah, they
Uh,
should get the thousand. And it's for the poor people. It's it's to make their life easier.
I say you get something extra if you're going to work. If you're not a person in the work field, I don't think they should just have that giving. They give people food stamps and you don't go to work. That's good enough to keep you fed. But yeah, depending on what you're making, you can get cash aid too. I think.
Well, you can't discriminate. If you're going to give $1,000 to people who are working, you got to give it to everyone, but
Okay.
not the rich people. They don't need it.
Mark, where do you stand on this?
You don't need to discriminate. You can codify into law whatever requirements. And requiring gainful employment is perfectly reasonable. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about the I give you money just because you're homeless. Uh, I think welfare is doing enough, giving you welfare, and you can go do whatever you want with that. Uh, that's already a problem. Letting people buy whatever with the food stamps and people selling them, they get that and they use that for sell them for drugs. Um, I've heard of such things.
Hmm?
So how
Well,
do
I mean,
you go ahead?
it just it's a little. It just makes people's lives a little easier.
Okay.
I would
Uh,
assume because
Some people's
um,
lives a little harder, making them pay taxes. Just give directly to somebody else. Nothing's free.
yes, that is true
Or
as well.
or it'll be like that stimulus check for the pandemic. A lot less
Mm,
people will work when they know they got that coming.
That hmm?
So a
People,
lot less people might work if they knew
Well,
that was coming.
and that Stockton Universal Basic Income experiment occurred right in the middle of the pandemic. So that really limits the applicability of that data because you have the UBI check right in the middle of a stimulus check, right in the middle of all these other factors. Uh, I don't see that Stockton experiment is really convincing. There's too small, too few, um, poorly controlled for external variables. Um, they can point to whatever
was that right
positive
in the middle?
outcomes they want. Yeah, yeah.
Uh, 2019. That was the start of it.
There's a 2-year program starting in 2019. So 2019 to 2021, right in the middle of the pandemic lockdowns, right in the middle of the stimulus checks, really lends a big blow to the credibility of the conclusions that they're drawing based on this alone. But they make no mention of that when they're touting their results of universal basic income works. Look at all of these benefits, you know.
Well, I mean, what is it a
Pay no
blow
mind
to?
to the problems behind the curtain.
I mean, I'm saying, what is it a blow to?
What?
You're saying it's a blow to
Yeah.
this the conclusion. What conclusions?
Any positive conclusions that they're touting about universal basic income works, it has these benefits. There's a big blow to it because they don't consider the external impacts of the pandemic, the stimulus checks in particular, more free money being thrown at them right in the middle of an experiment about throwing free money at people, but they don't take into account the extra free money being thrown at them by somebody else. I mean, it's really just a bad study if you read beyond the headline.
Yeah, I didn't get to read that one. I'll check it out.
That's
Um,
fine though. I mean, it really wasn't well laid out to actually study what they were trying to look at in the first place. So, um, it was a nothing
Targeted.
study to begin with. So nothing results really aren't surprising. It really
So you're saying this is all tainted because of the pandemic.
bunk research. Yeah, but I mean, soft sciences really are just propaganda for whichever side they decide to crunch their numbers in favor of. That's fine. Just gotta point it out to people.
So if I could find another study that would prove the same thing,
Then I'd look at it and see if it has the same sort of problems. That's fine, but don't I don't think you're gonna find one. A universal basic income hasn't really been tried that many times here in the US. So that Stanford example was really the best result in favor of UBI, and it had major problems. So,
no, that was just the first one I chose.
hmm,
wave it away. That's fine. Sure. It was the best one in favor of UBI. That's why it's the first one that came up in your results when you looked for it. But still,
Doesn't no 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 that was Google choosing this.
right. Yeah.
It
That's
doesn't
why
make
it
it the
came
best
up
one.
as the top result. It was the best. You type in results searches for all these positive outcomes for universal basic income, and Google finds
hmm.
that's the best. That matches most of your criteria in support of your opinion.
I think we both agreed in the past that Google is not the
Mm.
best.
It's not objective. Sure, it feeds you what you search for.
Yeah. The devices are listening to us, so they give you what they think you're, what they think you want based on what they're hearing you talk about.
Well, I mean, what you type into, universal basic income, and then whatever other key phrases were typed in, presumably positive outcomes from universal basic income. So yeah, it would spit back out the most positive outcome in support of universal basic income, the most supportive research. Um,
Yeah,
and
so look up the cons and see what that says. It's a good idea.
Well, that's not very good scientific research. I can't type in positive studies or negative studies. That's
no,
not
you,
how.
you do a Boolean search, you type in key phrases, and you use your mind for critical thinking.
Okay, I will do critical thinking.
Um, yeah. Primary cons of universal basic income are its immense fiscal costs, potential dis, disincentive to work and
Disincentive, what is it?
yeah, disincentive. I got it right, I thought.
Yeah.
Immense fiscal potential disincentive to work and inflationary risk. Implementing a meaningful UBI could cost trillions annually. Wow. Requiring massive tax hikes and increased national debt. Critics argue it reduces labor participation, erodes the entrepreneurial spirit, and may fail to target those in greatest need, potentially replacing specialized safety nets. Hmm. So yeah, you looked up the pros. There are the cons. There
Yes,
they go.
I said there were
Uh,
cons.
yeah,
Yeah.
you did. Um, yeah, Kevin. Got to give me some more evidence on why it's a good idea. Because what Mark said kind of sounds like a better idea.
Well, it would have to be more of a local thing, more perhaps of a state, because federally, this might be more difficult to enact.
Well, Stockton is about as local as you can get, 125 people in a single city.
Well, we can't talk about Stockton. It was during the pandemic.
Uh,
So that's new.
Well,
are they
the
talking about
sample
Stockton,
size,
California?
Pandemic,
yeah, the sample size
pandemic,
is about as low as you can get, about as
pandemic.
local. Yeah, that's fine. Even so, what do you expect? A piecemeal patchwork of UBI implementations at city levels all the way across the world or the country or
Anything,
what? I mean,
from Europe
anything.
or I
You
think there
said
was
you
one
don't think
study
that it's
in
feasible at the federal level, so if it can't work at that level, there's got to be a maximum at which it is feasible. Where is that? Why? I don't know. I don't understand why.
I think I saw a study from Africa where they gave
Is there any cases you found where this was a good idea and it helped?
yeah,
If it's going to cost the country and taxes are going to go up because of all this, it doesn't sound like it's worth it.
well, well, of course taxes are going to go up.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's the obvious, but that's not something people want.
Nothing's really going to work in this country because we can't have universal health care. We can't have anything. I have to bring this up because half of our money goes to defense.
The army,
And
well, service, military. So,
military, yes. And that increases every year. So we'll never have
and
UBI.
yeah, they got some billion-dollar planes. I watched a
And
documentary on how much those planes and stuff cost. A lot.
Do you know why they cost so much?
I actually do not.
Well, I mean, a lot of it is because of the materials and everything, but a big part of it is because of how many people across this country are employed and
yes,
living off of income derived from the manufacture of these aircraft. Between the actual contractors and subcontractors and subcontractors, there's a very large chunk of the United States population that actually work on production of these planes. So when you look at, oh, there's $1 billion fighter jet, I mean, yeah, that's the sticker price to the government, but that $1 billion, you know, goes into a lot of people's pockets. I mean,
Whose
of course,
people?
obviously not evenly spread everywhere or whatever, before any complaints of fairness or whatever are raised. I mean, yeah, sure. But uh, defense spending sounds big and scary when you think of it as we pay our army people only all of that. But defense spending is really the contractors, the people here at home building airplanes, building, you know, firearms, doing this, that, working on, this industry. So, um, cutting defense spending is gonna, cut a bunch of those jobs too. So, um,
I
sorry, I
agree
keep
there.
dropping.
It seems just like bloated waste. It seems like
Seems like,
investments that could go
yeah,
somewhere else.
seems like could go, well, no, can't
All right,
go.
well, it
Allocated by
is.
Congress, cannot go. No, seems like
All right, let me reword
if,
it. It is waste.
uh, no, it's not.
All right, well, what is it doing then?
It is keeping
It's
our nation safe. It is keeping us from being steamrolled by global adversaries. If you don't know what our nation's defense spending does for our country, then you've got your head buried in the sand.
why do we need all these you know, uh, nuclear powered submarines and we have we have a military larger than anyone else's in the world by what, tenfold or a hundredfold or something? We can
So what do
easily.
you want? You say we should go like fire half of the military and navy, scrap our aircraft carriers, and tell all of them to go back home to their families and sing Kumbaya and get peaceful jobs somewhere else doing environmental work, cleaning up, saving dolphins
Yes.
and stuff. That is patently absurd.
Well, I
I
think we're
I
turning into a
I thought
Spartan.
I didn't think you were
I think
gonna
we're turning
say
into a
yes to
Spartan
astronomy.
country. Okay,
Partner country. Ooh, what does that mean?
A Spartan military country, and
I don't
we're
think you
wasting
know the
all of our
history
money.
behind that.
Yeah, well, what about, okay, if you're a libertarian person, you stand for paying off the debt, right? And
Sure,
being
yeah.
fiscally responsible.
I mean, yeah,
We have not been fiscally responsible in a long time.
yeah,
Most of that's because of military spending.
sure.
How about we just not spend so much on military this year? We're because the next budget is
I mean,
cutting.
that's just like such a
Shut up for a second.
nothing statement,
We're,
though.
we are cutting. We are cutting domestic spending and increasing military spending again. This we've done that with all the budgets. That's a waste of
Hmm.
money. The budget's going up in military. That's going to increase the debt.
Increase to 44%.
So we're going
Uh,
to owe other countries. If we want to defend ourselves, why are we going to owe other countries money? How about we defend ourselves by not owing them money?
um,
That would be a good defense.
yeah, listen to this real quick. It says the 2026 U.S. political landscape shows a sharp divide on defense spending, with the Trump administration proposing a 1.5 trillion, 44% increase to the Pentagon budget for fiscal 2027, while cutting non-defense agencies by 10%, while some proposals seek 5.1 billion in wasteful DoD contracts. Critics and the Center for American Progress argue the plans favor defense contractors over domestic needs, setting records for potential non-defense cuts. Mm, yeah, that's yeah. I think I'm on the fence. I think cutting the budget maybe a little bit would be good. Mark,
Yeah,
you can use that for healthcare.
over 75% of the U.S. national debt is held within the U.S. by individuals, banks, insurance companies, and investment funds. So we're not beholden to any sort of foreign powers to the degree that you were making them out to be a boogeyman. So, um, uh,
Nevertheless, we owe money.
sure.
Mm. So, um,
And yes, we do owe money to China, approximately $750 billion.
uh, yeah. How are we gonna not diminish, but get rid of that debt?
Pay it off.
What are we doing to get rid of those debts?
Nothing. Paying the interest, most of it.
Okay. Yeah, because I see a lot of debt here by America, um, to almost every country.
So
Um,
maybe just cut back on the the missile cruisers just a little bit, just a little,
Save a couple trillion.
yeah, couple trillion, a little bit, and
Listen to this. It says foreigners hold a record 9.4 trillion in U.S. federal debt as of November 2025, accounting for roughly 30% of total foreign owed U.S. treaties. Japan is the largest foreign holder, 1.2 trillion, followed by the United Kingdom and China, while overall foreign investments remain high. China has significantly reduced its holdings in recent years. Uh, oh, I think I just put American debt, but yeah, that's interesting as well. Uh, you said we owe China a lot. Oh shit, I see what you're
seven
talking
hundred
about.
750 to 760 billion.
Yeah, I see that. And that's only to China. China remains among the top foreign creditors, generally ranking behind Japan, which holds over 1 trillion US debt.
So
Hmm. So who's going to pay this debt off? Do you think we're ever going to pay it off, or we're going to forever be in debt to these countries?
I don't know. at this current rate, no. And if the interest keeps at this, you know, we're struggling just to pay the interest for the debt. And
Uh, there was an article asking about that I looked for. Um, should bullying be punishable by law? Um, I don't know if you guys got bullied. Maybe just a little bit for me, not too much, because then I got taller and kind of that wasn't getting bullied anymore. But yeah, I know like what's it called? Like shit talking to other kids that can cause trauma to other children. And I had a couple articles here that led to children hurting themselves or coming to school and hurting others. Um, and yeah, there was a bunch of articles that says bullying should be punishable by law. How do you feel about that, Mark? No,
No,
I think it's a good idea. Or
it's, it's hard to monitor unless
no,
mm,
no, absolutely not.
wouldn't say
Because
give them a felony or anything, but
no, no, absolutely not. Period. Any any sort of well, no, because that opens up a slippery slope to how do you define bullying? And once bullying can be officially punished, then it can become
is
weaponized, institutional. Um,
isn't
it's a very good point, actually. You don't want to be have adults put in jail because they said something mean.
well, cyberbullying is a thing.
That is.
Um,
So
I
I
mean,
you
don't
could,
think it's illegal. I think it's more frowned upon, but
well, I got two things on that. Yeah, people do get cyberbullied to death. And actually, and AI talked person into killing themselves. A chatbot gave advice and told a teenager to kill themselves, and they did. And maybe that's just, I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. Maybe it's just natural selection for the person for being so stupid to listen to a chatbot. But
actually, there is something on cyberbullying. There's laws against it. Cyberbullying laws vary by state, but generally prohibit using electronic communication to harass, threaten, or intimidate, often punishable by as misdemeanors. California laws allow schools to suspend or expel students for off-campus digital bullying, while criminal statutes covers stalking, impersonation, and harassment via devices, potentially leading to jail time, heavy fines, and restraining orders.
okay.
Okay. So cyberbullying is a thing, but regular
But,
bullying is not.
well, yeah, as an adult, you cannot harass people. You cannot do that. You can get a restraining order against people for doing that for repeatedly. Yeah, yeah, that is a thing. So I'm I've dealt with people like that. Yeah, yeah,
Were
certain
you
neighborhood.
bullied?
Um, no, no, I mean I was teased, but there's a difference between teasing and bullying.
Yeah, that's what it went from. It went from bullying to teasing and crap talking because I eventually got taller than everybody. So I'm taller than 95% of the people I know.
Like everyone kind of gave each other the business as a kid, but it
Yeah,
was
I got
like
pushed around.
then we would invite each other to, parties and stuff. So it was no big deal.
Um, mhm. So the final answer to getting bullied should be punishable by law. The consensus we come to is no, it
Uh,
shouldn't. Is that what you guys are saying?
I'm going to say that mm, mm, if it's repeated and it doesn't stop, um, if the person is removed, it's like a restraining order, I'll say. If the person is removed from the school, fine, and the person continues to harass, then I think the law needs to intervene.
Um, got something that says, oh no, that's too much for basically live internet. Um, yeah, I'm all for it being a punishment for that. Maybe not as deep as you guys might be thinking, but I think something should be done about that because school shootings are very too common. Uh,
People
a
shoot
lot of
up
them.
schools for a variety of reasons, so not just bullying.
I know, but when I looked it up, so Google isn't the truth necessarily, but yeah, the percentages of it being for bullying and students having problems with other children, yeah, that those were two of the things that were up there. Reasons why I didn't look up other reasons, but yeah, a lot of them said from being bullied, and they just didn't get. What does it say? Uh, oh, the school didn't do enough, and she was frequently teased, tormented, and bullied. She did her best to cope, but the school did little, and eventually she's not here now. Yeah, I was reading this article, and that's what led me to actually come into this conclusion, because I think something should be done before it gets out of control. I don't think we should wait until it's a problem to do
Right. I guess
something.
that
But
is part of the problem of the school system is that it's not a safe environment. And if you don't harbor a safe environment in a school, it's certainly not going to be a learning environment. Uh, yeah, and that's what we did in schools. If private Catholic schools, they just removed people who were pain in the ass. It was no BS. You're out. You know, it was like a no strike system. You know, if you screw around, you're out, which can be a problem. I think. Uh,
so
um, I can give an example. This kid was not a bully. He was just he was interesting. He was weird. And he didn't bully anyone. He just did something. He wrote something, you know, and he was expelled for it. He wrote something on his copybook, let's say. He wrote "kill people," and he was not a danger. He was not. I knew this kid. He was a friend of mine, and he got expelled. And it was he shouldn't have been. Because they should if they would have just talked to him, you know, maybe this and he probably would have, he, he probably sent him further down the line or something. But I I did keep in touch with him a little. I saw him a few years later, but yeah, if it's smarter to have someone to talk to as opposed to just wiping someone, just kicking them out of the school. But I know that's easier said than done because there's so many bullies and you can't give them all counseling. So sometimes
Why
it's
not?
easier to,
You can try.
yeah, you should absolutely try.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
perfection
another
is too
thing.
much to expect from any human-made system, though. So there's always going to be
Right.
some that just get through.
Sure, yeah. But you got to try. You can't.
Yeah.
Uh, jump in topic to another topic far from that. How do you guys feel about animals being used for entertainment? Uh, I was reading a story on tigers, and there's more in captivity than there is in the wild, and that's a thing I thought should be looked into and talked about more. The animals, the ones that have more in captivity, especially like tigers, because I was looking, it says 8,900 tigers in captivity and 5,700 remaining in the wild. That's a big difference. Some people are for the zoos and stuff, but that kind of made me feel different about that. I mean, zoos are cool and all, but I
Yeah.
don't think we should be collecting animals for it.
Well,
Uh,
most of those in the zoos are captive born and are progeny of captive born for generations. I don't think that they're like going out and catching them, and that the reason that there's so few left in the wild is because we're still going out and catching them all and bringing them
okay.
into these zoos and everything. I think at this point, a lot of the animals in the zoos are more like a genetic savings account, so to speak, of the um, this critically endangered species that they're out in the wild. They're still actively being hunted. There's some Asian cultures that value them as traditional medicines. Um, so to a certain extent, the animals that are still being bred in Western zoos at some point might become the only examples of these animals left. Um, and so, if as part of that, they are entertaining to humans in the zoos, as long as the zoos are designed as ethically as possible, that the animals are kept healthy and happy and all of that stuff, I don't see any problem with animal, with humans learning about them, seeing them, coming in contact with species that, are otherwise impossible for them to see or have access to in person. So, um, yeah,
There
if
was
as long as it's not like circus sideshows or anything, or like, um, what's that? The guy in what was his name in
Siegfried and
on
Roy.
Vegas? Yeah, Siegfried and Roy. Yeah, like got eaten on stage by his big white tiger.
oh wow.
That was using the animal for entertainment in a way that kind of crossed crossed a line that I would not like.
I guess that was a matter of time. We all saw that coming. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, I guess
I didn't even hear about that story. It ate him. Wow. Uh,
yeah,
yeah.
attacked him, burned him to death.
This one
I
says,
guess
oh, it says roadside zoos that are allowed tourists to cuddle and shoot selfies with cubs were at the root of what's being the U.S. tiger crisis. Captive bred cats often end up in illegal wildlife trade. To maintain a constant supply of babies, tigresses were forced to churn out litter after litter. Cubs wrenched cubs wrenched from their mothers at birth were fed poorly and handled by hundreds of people. When they grew too big for or dangerous to pet around 12 weeks, cubs became breeders, were put on display, or simply disappeared. Many of these venues passed themselves off as sanctuaries. At least one made $1 million or more in annual revenue. Yes, I feel like they're using them for benefit more. A zoo is benefiting somebody. Somebody's getting paid for it.
Yeah,
I would say it
yeah.
depends on
So
the animal. Um,
Someone told me I wouldn't win this argument because I'm not a vegetarian. And I was like, I
uh,
think I will. Because
uh,
there's somebody who's going to say, well, you eat them to win that argument. But
I would not eat tiger.
I wouldn't eat a tiger either. But I mean,
Mm,
like, yeah, like,
not unless he tries to eat me first.
I mean,
it-
then I might kill him, but I'm not going to eat him.
Yeah. Um, no, I'm
There's a
joking. Yeah.
documentary by Sharon Guinup uh, on National Geographic. She talked about that. And that one guy doing a lot of time for the infamous Tiger King. You guys remember Joe Exotic?
Yep.
Yeah. He's not the one who was eaten by the animal, but he was messing with animals and deserves the time he has.
Yeah. I thought, well, that would be illegal in the first place. Like, and I think the network should, they're an enabler to that sort of thing.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was killing and trafficking tigers. Yeah. And he had an exotic animal park in Oklahoma. Ugh. Yeah.
He seemed suspicious from the start. What about something like SeaWorld? You got a problem with that? Does that seem
I
because
mean,
that
just the article I was reading in the documentary I was talking about that she was just talking about mainly the animals, not how they react in captivity and how they react in not captivity isn't the same. And of course it isn't the same, but there was
obviously?
places who started sanctuaries who gave them acres to roam in. And then there's zoos who give them 100 by 100 feet to roam in. It's much
Yeah,
different.
chained to a spot on the floor. Yeah.
and
Basically, they're just laying around in the yard, basically like a dog. Uh, you don't think it's a problem that they're just becoming extinct, basically?
well, they're becoming extinct because of climate change. That's the
That
most.
too.
That's why
It's human
people.
human hunting, not the climate change driving the
Mm, I
tiger
would.
extinction.
I'd put my money on climate change. Their environment is disappearing.
No,
That
their
too.
habitat is, or it's not their habitat changing. It's human encroachment in hunting, overhunting. Tiger
That's
wine in China, traditional Chinese medicine, tiger's feet. They hunt them
Tiger
down
Balm.
out there
Where does Tiger Balm
way
come from?
faster than the population can replenish.
Kevin?
Um, I, uh, oh yeah, human activities, but 95% of their habitat has disappeared. So if they don't have a habitat, uh, yeah, and human activity, yes, um, they are. So it's a little bit of both. Uh,
I got an article here that says 100 football fields are knocked down per day. Um, yeah, and that is forest deforestation. Deforestation. They're cutting down the forest for living. Yeah, Kevin, I see what you're talking about. They're cutting down their area, and I mean that's part of the reason that they're becoming extinct is because they're, like you said, their area is not there, which makes a lot of sense.
And also the poaching and body part stuff. Yeah, that's awful too. And
Um, there's a place, I believe it said Colorado. Uh, may have been Colorado. I lost it in the article, but yeah, they have sanctuaries that, like I said, give them a certain amount of land to roam instead of being in a zoo, which I think is a good idea. Give them that, teach them how to be in public, and then allow them to. I don't know. I would say just throw them in the wild because they're probably not
it's
used to that yet. They probably die, right? They're used to
maybe
being fed.
I'd like to give them a chance to,
go back in the wild, but it's with the problems they're facing in the wild, with the jungles going away and with the poaching, uh, you know, uh,
A
yeah, I don't know what
hundred
to say.
football fields a day in deforestation. That is a
Yeah,
lot. Uh, yeah, because I've been to one football stadium. If that was 100,
yeah.
they're losing that much a day, and that is the problem. That's a man-made problem, basically. Uh, yeah, China had a big problem. They wanted to get ahead of the problem, they said, and stop the tigers from being trafficked.
That's
Uh,
good.
yeah, if they're trying to help it, that is good. But go watch the documentary. I forgot the name of it. I need to send you a link for that. And yeah, Kevin, I think you would like that or that documentary. I don't know if you said you were into documentaries. I think it was Mark. Um,
yeah, I'll watch them, but yeah.
I watch a lot of documentaries. Uh, and then they had the Mark. What is that called? Oh, the Am I an A-hole? We'll go to some of those. Uh, yeah. One here says, "Am I an a-hole for waiting to confront my sister? Am I an a-hole for wanting to message my sister-in-law to confront her about everything I've been hearing her say about me? For context, her brother and I have been together for 10 years, and I have silently put up with the issue after issue and never really said anything. Here are a few examples. Honestly, there are way more, but then I'd be here all day. When we started dating, she told people that there was no use getting to know me because we weren't going to last. Wow. She told my best friend, myself also, that I should let him explore with other women because I was I was one of his first girlfriends and it wasn't fair for me to hold him back. Newsflash, he's a grown man and If he wanted to get with other girls, he could. He just had to leave me first. This was after 1 year of us dating. She put that opinion together. When I got pregnant with our first baby, she told me to my face at 20 weeks that we shouldn't be having a baby together because he was too much like their dad and would be a bad father. He's nothing like him, and he's fabulous. Mind your business. Mind we have been together for 5 years at that point, and those words stuck with me when I was in the midst of PPD. After that comment and many others, I've never let her meet our daughter. My daughter has turned 5 years old, and we have another now. I've just heard that she has been going around telling people that I am keeping the kids from his side of the family and that I refuse to let them spend any time with them. He becomes from he comes from a large family, multiple siblings, and I'm taking double digits. Oh, and I'm talking double digits in siblings. And the only one who hasn't met them is her. In fact, I just spent all day with his mother and my other side. Oh, my other side. So his mother and my other sister-in-law. So I am no way holding them back from anyone except her. Am I the asshole for wanting to finally confront her? It may potentially backfire on the person who told me all this info, and I do not want them to get in trouble. But I am sick and tired of being walked all over when she never even taken the time of the day to get to know me or my children, really. She just expects to get to see them whenever she decides to visit. So this person is asking, are they the a-hole for for wanting to confront their sister-in-law? I say no. Uh, it's time to get that conversation over with. It's time. It's 10 years down the line. Take that band-aid off. Uh, yeah, that conversation should be talked about as soon as possible. How do you feel about that, Mark?
Yeah, she's not entitled to access to their life. Um, yeah, not the asshole.
Yeah.
Of course, there's always two sides to any story, so I don't know if there's other stuff that had gone into this, but it seems entirely plausible that sister is just batshit and um yeah, that nothing in this story jumps out at me as something that seems obviously one-sided and trying to look for validation. Everything seemed pretty, you know, I don't know. My impression was that, yeah, it wasn't just being made up for attention and that, yeah, the sister's kind of way off base there.
Okay.
Like the
Evan, how do you feel?
person's a huge asshole for posting personal family information online for attention when they obviously know the answer.
Okay. I like your side.
I got a better one. Okay. Would you rather fight Sasquatch or possibly be abducted by aliens with the possible chance that they might eat you?
Mhm. I wouldn't want to fight Sasquatch. I'm gonna take that off the table. What's the other option?
Aliens with a 50% chance that they'll eat you to serve man.
So you
Um,
know going into it that it's a 50% chance that they're gonna eat you
Yeah,
there's
or
still a
probe you.
chance.
or probe. So is it eat
Eat or probe?
or probe?
Let's say probe first, then eat.
Depends on where they're probing.
Wait,
Uh,
I'm still confused. So which side is there a side of the coin where nothing happens to any
Yeah, okay.
orifices?
They're either gonna eat you or befriend you, or you
Okay.
can travel the universe with them.
Well, I
there's
don't see any reason, any possible world where Sasquatch would not be just absolutely hostile. So I'm gonna go with the aliens. At least I got a chance.
Mm,
yeah, there's a chance of survival.
okay.
50% chance.
You don't think you can take Sasquatch?
No, absolutely not. I'm built like a twig. He'd snap me in half by looking at me.
All right. All right. Let's go with yeah, I'd probably take the aliens too. Let's go with would you rather be a homeless person with a 10% chance of being uh taken in by a rich guy? You could be his pet. I mean, you can eat whatever you want, do whatever you want. Or would you rather be hunted on an island?
I'll
Like
take
Uh,
I'll be a rich person's pet person.
only
yeah, I'm
10%
already
chance
homeless.
though.
I'm living with my
That's
mom. This is
fine.
my
Yeah.
home.
I'll, I'll either be someone's pet or get left alone. No
Uh,
looking over my shoulder.
right. That was a rough one, Kevin. Yeah.
Mm,
Uh, I don't want to be someone's pet, but if the only other option is that, yeah.
you can live, you can do whatever you want.
Like Mark said, it's not all day you're being pet. So,
Well, okay, I'll use it. You could just be his like buddy and uh, one of those weird eccentric
Like
rich
what
people like
one of his
Elon or
entourage people that
yeah,
just gloms on and gets everything paid for just by virtue of being
yeah.
around him.
You can take a plane anywhere. You can eat whatever you want. You can do anything. Basically, you can use his money for anything, but only a 10% chance.
That's a better chance than I got right now.
Better chance than being hunted on an island.
Yeah. There's
Okay.
no way I could get away there. I'm toast there. It's Sasquatch all over again. It's only a matter of time.
All right. All right. I might 10% chance is a small chance for me, so I'm gonna take my chances on the island. I think I might be able to take them.
Hmm.
That's all I got for those. I just came up with them
my
on the
voice
spot.
isn't working.
You okay, Pookie? You having trouble there? Oh, I guess he was having trouble there. Okay.
I'm trying to think of
Hey,
more of these. Let's see. Would you rather? Hmm,
Hmm.
You guys got anything?
Yep.
I'm
Uh,
kind of running out of steam here, but
all right. Let's
mm,
cut it before you run out of steam.
mm,
uh, well, everybody out there, thanks for watching. Of course, we had a great time and hope to see you guys on what's today?
today is
Wednesday.
Saturday, so we got Wednesday. I think
Yeah,
we
Kevin
said
won't be
Kevin.
here Wednesday.
Yeah, Kevin is gonna be
Of
out.
course, there's going to be a party. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
I got my own party to go to.
we
Yeah,
might need to figure out, find somebody to come on. I don't
And
know
replace
if,
Kevin
yeah,
just for a short time,
new
not the
Kevin.
whole time.
mhm.
Yeah,
Uh,
They won't be a
yeah.
returnee. Just come to talk to for that day.
right. But after that, next Saturday, Right. Coming up next Saturday, we have a special event planned coming. Um, we are going to
Discuss
rehash, yes, bring up that good old topic, firearms in America.
gun
How,
control.
yes,
Oh,
gun control. We're going to switch things up a little bit. This time I will be arguing the pro-gun control. Um,
and
and
I
Kevin,
will be taking, what is it? Pro guns. Uh, I will
Second Amendment.
I will be taking Mark's side. I will be taking
Second
yeah, okay.
Amendment. Yeah,
Yeah, right.
yeah,
We
yeah.
we got the details worked out. Yeah,
We're gonna try to make it a little more official, a little more debatey, time for opening statements and
yeah.
back and forth and rebuttals and closing statements and we'll see how that goes and see if any minds are changed, if anything um I don't know. I think it'd be interesting at the very end to have a discussion about that, you know.
Like I said, I've always been pro Second Amendment. It's just I don't want to get into it now.
Right.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Talk about this next
We got,
Saturday.
we got, yeah, saving it all.
Yeah,
Yes.
we'll save it for then. Okay.
No more teasers,
Yeah,
anybody. You got to
This
tune
is
in
kind
next
of a
week.
teaser, kind of.
yeah, you
This
got to
is,
see
this
then.
is, yeah, this is all you get until next week for that.
Yeah, we
Uh,
are new to this, you guys. We aren't YouTubers, so we're still getting things into order. Things might change. A lot of things might change as we're learning new things. Yeah. And if there's any YouTubers out there that want to help us learn this game of being YouTubers, get in touch.